Hello, Megan. Have you met any Canadians before?
Never.
Well, it's about time, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Save me a spot up for dinner, okay?
You know, right after the whole situation with Ryan and everything, I was really, seriously, affected mentally, emotionally. And I came back home and I really stopped talking to everybody I knew.
The woman whose body was found stuffed in a suitcase in California has been identified as a former swimsuit model now. Police say 28-year-old Jasmine Fiore was strangled, and her husband of just 5 months is now a person of interest.
Jenkins is accused of murdering the 28-year-old Las Vegas bikini model he married only in March. Her body was found Saturday, stuffed into a suitcase just hours after she was last seen with Jenkins.
And it was just such a shocking, traumatic, insane, unbelievable thing that happened. And, not only were, I think I can speak for you as well when I say this, for me personally, when that happened, not only was I in shock, holy shit, he murdered Jasmine and then he died. And even though he's a monstrous human being, he was still somebody that I lived with for a month.
But on the VH1 reality show, Megan Wants a Millionaire, he was the smooth-talking bachelor.
I decided to appeal to all your senses.
I actually really liked Ryan. I really liked him when he was filming my show. I started having a personal relationship with him while we were filming the show. I wanted to pick him as the winner. And when I had to eliminate him when he was in third place, we were both crying.
Wow.
We were both upset about it. I didn't want to. And he couldn't even believe it was happening. And he was crying and he was saying, no, you're not. He couldn't even believe it. It was very dramatic.
Why was he eliminated?
Because basically I couldn't pick him as the winner.
Was it because of the producers or because you just had another person that you wanted to win, or?
No, I wanted to pick him, but I was strongly persuaded that was the wrong decision.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
And, had to eliminate him. And he thought that he was going to win because I had told him he was going to. And it was really devastating to him. And so after he was eliminated and his dad was there and my parents were there, it was really upsetting to both of us. And I only had 3 more days of filming to do for the show. And I couldn't explain to him what was going on at the time. So I just stopped answering my phone and I just figured I'll explain it to him in 3 days. What could happen in 3 days, right?
God, I love my life. And I love my wife. Love you, babe. Luckiest guy in the world.
I thought I'll meet up with him in California or wherever. And he called me nonstop for those 3 days. I didn't answer my phone. And then in 3 days, he called me and he said, I met the love of my life in Vegas. So, have a nice life, basically.
So because they got married.
I was like, well, guess what? I'm not explaining anything to you. You can just go on your way with her.
Wow. So they had only known each other for 24 hours and then they got married. Is that what you remember it being the case too?
Well, he had told me that, he went to Vegas because he was really upset. And he not only was upset about me, he was upset because he thought that he was being played the whole time. He thought that everything that I was telling him was all a lie and it was just for the show, So he felt like a fool, for being led on, but he never understood that wasn't what happened. When he met her in a club, he said that he got her phone number and she put her birthday into his phone. And when he looked at it, it was the same birthday as his. And that was a sign that they were meant to be together.
Oh, God. So do you think part of the reason he kind of met this girl so quickly was to get over you? And do you think he called you and told you about it just to kind of like rub your face in it a little bit?
No, because he didn't think I ever really cared, you know?
Oh.
He thought it was all just fake. So, I don't know.
Wow, that's crazy. So then he came on my show, which was obviously I Love Money 3.
Well, I mean, before he came on I Love Money, we were still talking, you know, like I had met up with him a couple times. He actually was trying to move in with Cecile, who I was living with. He was emailing her and trying to move into her apartment.
Wow.
So, I mean, we had like a lot more of like an on and off again friendship relationship going on before he went on I Love Money. And I actually convinced him to go on to I Love Money 3.
Oh,
because I met with him right before he accepted his contract to go on that show. And he was debating whether he should go on it or not. I don't know, like he wasn't even himself at that point. When I met with him right before then, he thought that I was sent from the producers to convince him to go on the show.
Wow.
Like he was
paranoid.
Yeah, he was really paranoid. He had lost a lot of weight from the last time I had seen him.
Wow.
He like wasn't himself anymore. He was acting really bizarrely. And it really scared me actually. And after I went out with him that last time, I told him I was going back to Florida, even though I wasn't, just because I never wanted to see him again because he was acting so strangely.
I do know that when we were filming the show, he was really, really, really obsessive over Jasmine. And he talked about her constantly. And I guess based on what he said, and this is just speculation, but based on what he said, what I had put together in my head of what had happened was that he had met Jasmine. They fell in love. They got married within like 24 hours. But I know that he was Canadian. He was hoping to come here and get a green card. From the way he described things, it sounded like they had some sort of arrangement where he would take care of her financially and she would make sure that, you know, they were married so he could get a green card. But I do know he truly loved her. So he kept telling me that he was like, I have to win I Love Money 3. I have to win because I need to get back in Jasmine's good graces. And he was really obsessive about it. But we formed an alliance because I'm like, this motherfucker is going to win this goddamn show because he was so strategic and he was a powerhouse in every single challenge. He dominated. I knew he was going to win. But the level of determination coming from a very unhealthy, obsessive place was unreal.
And I felt bad for him because I had known him from when he first came to LA and through, you know, what he wound up, you know, turning into. It was just sad to watch.
It was also a shock to Jenkins' father, who told the LA Times, quote, "If my son was guilty, he was crazy. He was not the boy we knew." He added that his son appears to have been corrupted by the Hollywood lifestyle.
And so I felt bad for him. And I just, you know, to be able to even process that whole situation was just like, I couldn't even handle it. So I basically just came back to Florida and, you know, stopped talking to everybody I knew. I changed my phone number. I stopped even responding to my name when people would see me on the street. I would be like, no, it's not Megan, because I couldn't even handle talking about it. I couldn't even process it at all.
I mean, we can go endless on talks about this on I Love Money.
Yeah, and you were friends with Ryan for a little bit, and
Really
it's just
good friends.
one of those situations that like nobody could have predicted. It was such a tragic ending to everything.
Yeah. It was so crazy. I mean, like, you know, him being one of my, you know, roommates on the show, it was crazy because that was one thing that I never really expected. He was a good-looking dude, had a charm to him.
Smart.
I just gravitated to the guy, and he gravitated to me. And, you know, when you're on, you know, I Love Money, it's about, you know, choosing your, you know, group of people that are going to take you further to win the money. And, which, an alliance, right? Alliance. So, you know, I just gravitated to the dude, and I was just like, this guy's gonna take me further. And, you know, we pinky sweared. I know it sounds cheesy.
This isn't kindergarten anymore. There's no pinky swearing.
But the thing is at the time, we pinky sweared. And I was like, yo,
I wanted to tell you so bad that whole time, like, don't trust him, because he was like so nice to me on Megan Wants a Millionaire, and then such a dick on I Love Money 3. I wanted to tell you so bad, don't trust him.
But I thought it was so crazy because this was the first reality show that never aired.
Right.
You know, and not only that, he won the $250,000.
It was definitely a tragic ending to an empire, an amazing period of time within reality TV. But this is why we're here today, because I think that needs a fucking redo. Like, because if we let the whole of love thing die, then Ryan fucking Jenkins wins, and I don't fucking want that shit.
Absolutely
so
right. Absolutely
the
not.
fans are still here. We're still here. These of love shows were so pivotal and so important. And we're so meaningful to the just reality television and pop culture as a whole. And I'm here today with you guys, and I'm so grateful to you because there was something incredible here, and there's no reason for it to go away just because this fucking piece of shit decides to do some psychotic shit.
Absolutely.
So
And if anybody could do it, Lace, it's you. It's you.
I'm here because I'm trying to have Ray J be my boyfriend. But then I also cocktail at night.
Cocktail. Cocktail can go far.
What I know is that Ryan had met this woman, Jasmine. It was right after.
Ugh, my palms are so sweaty.
I know, me too. This is a trauma.
No,
man.
I literally have not spoke to anybody. Like, after all that shit happened, went down, like, I had fucking 2020 and People Magazine and people I had the fucking police calling my fucking phone. Like, what was he texting you? Why was he calling you? So, like, just like hearing his name is like, and
It's
that's
a
just
trauma.
Yeah. And like, you know, we have our own stories like to tell and stuff. And so, like, it is a sensitive subject, and I'm not here to like talk shit about him or like whatever happened.
It's not, but you should express how you feel, because as you said, you've never talked about
ever
this
to anybody.
Because there was so much fun on that show, but this was definitely the dark moment. So Ryan, obviously, none of us could have ever predicted that he was going to do that. Megan was on my podcast, and she told me that that her and Ryan really had feelings for each other, but the producers didn't want Megan to choose Ryan. He was devastated that Megan didn't choose him, and so, almost like out of revenge, but just like on a mission, because what we do know about Ryan is that when he gets on a mission for something, that motherfucker accomplished it, whether it be winning I Love Money 3 or finding a wife. So he met Jasmine in Las Vegas, and they got married within 24 hours. The speculation and the rumor, which we have not verified as fact, but I have heard this from a number of people. The speculation and the rumor is that Jasmine was a prostitute. And there's a reason I'm bringing this up. I'm not bringing this up to badmouth Jasmine, but just to tell the entire story of why this happened.
Or even just our experience, like our friendship that we had with him.
They met, and then the housing market crash had just happened. He was technically a millionaire, but then I guess he lost a lot of it when the housing market crashed. What I gathered from the information that Ryan gave me, and he gave me a lot of information. He confided in me a lot, as I know he did with you. He basically promised this woman that he would give her money and make sure she's taken care of, that she'd be a kept wife, as long as he would marry her and help him get into the country because he was Canadian. And I think what Ryan wanted was to be a big, famous reality TV star because he made it so far in Megan Wants a Millionaire.
He could change her.
Yeah. And then he could get her out of prostitution, and they could be together, and they could be like the big power couple.
Yeah.
So when he was on the show, she was really, really mean to him and vicious to him, and was just would say terrible things.
Do you remember
to
them
him.
fighting on the phone?
Yes, I remember them fighting on the phone. I remember the producers listening in on their conversation, and they would tell me like she just tore him 20 new assholes, because she basically was like, if you have any hopes of this marriage being salvaged, you better fucking win that money. Because she was like, you promised me money, I married you, you don't have the money.
Mean to him.
She was really, really, really mean. She was vicious and brutal.
I never heard him or even like really saw him pissed off. But like there was a couple times where he would get off the
He was
phone.
pretty devastated.
He was fucking crying.
I remember that. I remember he was like, I have to win.
He was
this
so
show, 'cause
determined.
He wanted to give it. He was so determined. That's why
save his marriage.
To save his marriage. And he thought this $250,000 would do this. What was interesting to me, I saw what to me looked like a little bit of romantic interest. Maybe Ryan was drawn to you. I definitely saw him, especially towards the end, I saw him being drawn to you. And you said there was a couple of things he said to you that were kind of like made you raise an eyebrow, right?
Yeah, like, I don't know if it was like just mid-conversation, he would like stop me. He's like, holy shit, dude, you remind me so much of her. I'm like, who? He's like, my wife. Like how you said it, like what your facial expressions, like
your mannerisms.
Yeah, he's like, whoa. And he would just fucking stare at me. I'm all right,
this is weird.
Fucking get away. Yeah, I was just always like, burr, burr, burr.
Wow.
So it was just creepy. And like, even the shit that I would say, like, like in the interview room, like, when they pull you aside and you talk about the challenge or whatever.
Talk to the camera.
Yeah, yeah. And like, whatever the fuck. Like him saying that, in front of production or whatever. And then
about how you remind me, you remind him of his wife.
Yeah. And of course, this was like way before the very end and before all the tragedies. But like, I would say shit like, oh, here comes Ryan, like a fucking serial killer.
You would say that? You made these jokes?
Jokes like,
holy
fucking
shit.
Creepy killer. Like for me to have said something like that about someone,
That's like serious intuition. Wow. So did he ever put the moves on you or hit on you or anything like that?
He actually kissed me.
He kissed you.
He kissed me.
And this was at the very end?
This was in the very beginning.
Oh, the very beginning?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, this was like.
How did he not think that wasn't going to fuck up his marriage? If it got out.
I feel like it was like his marriage had just happened. He was like opening up to me. But I remember even when he like kissed me, I was like, hold the fuck up. It's like, we were like outside in between our rooms and it was like right before we were going to go to bed. And it was like, whoa, I didn't even give you any kind of signal to
Green light.
Make that okay. So the fact that he did that, I was like, bro, like, I don't know what the fuck you think this is, but don't try that shit again. But I remember.
Was this like after he just got in a fight with his woman and maybe he was like depressed?
Something. But he was venting to me about something. He was like vulnerable, upset. I don't know. But and when he did that, it's like, like he left this like disgusting. And I remember like talking shit about it because I was like so bothered by it because I was like, this fucking creep, who is this guy? I was talking to Kashmir maybe, but I was like, he had like, it tasted like, I literally said this. I'm not even joking or trying to talk shit on him or anything, but I was like, it tasted like death. I'm like, it like,
oh my God.
Like dead. It, like, and this is like, I was like, like dead cat in my mouth.
Shit. So then what happened after the show? Because I talked to him a little bit. I remember we exchanged phone numbers. He had a whole thing. He really, really wanted me to take his wife horseback riding with me because I had a horse in Los Angeles at the time. He really wanted me to take her riding. And I was like, sure, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So I talked to him a little bit here and there from that perspective. You continued talking to him as well?
Yeah, we were friends. He was supposed to come to my birthday party with her. And I think I like texted him like, hey, you guys still coming? And I think like it had already happened. And he was like, yeah, we're still coming. Is it cool if I come stay at your house if for some reason she ends up locking me out or something? Because you know how she gets. I'm like,
oh my God. He was anticipating that she was not going to be there. And then
he was just like, just in case. I'm like,
holy
okay.
God, like because hairs on my neck are standing out right now. That's crazy.
So I was just like, okay, I didn't think anything of it, of course, So I was like, yeah, sure, you can come over whenever. Like, and I don't think at that point, like he knew where I lived, but like, I think he actually came to Vegas and like partied and then left.
Yeah.
But he never reached out when he was actually like partying here before he fled.
And Jenkins was found 100 miles from where he's believed to have crossed the border in a town called Hope, British Columbia.
The deceased person that was found in a motel in Hope, British Columbia, is in fact Ryan Jenkins.
It's a motel occupied in part by recovering alcoholics and addicts. Jenkins had failed to leave his room by the 11 a.m. checkout, so the manager went in.
Because I remember being in the mall and my publicist called and she was like, guess what? Like, where are you, first off? And I'm like, I'm in the mall. She's like, go home. I'm like, why? She's like, Ryan's on the run, or he reported his wife missing. And like, literally when she said that, I was like, fucking did it.
Oh my God.
Gross,
That's
right?
So insane. Yeah. And as all these things that were saying that she did as far as like the prostitution or being mean to him, whatever. Of course, we're not suggesting that she or anybody would ever deserve that. Nobody deserves that.
No. I feel like everybody on our show did a good job at like not being opportunistic or like.
I feel like everybody did a great job with that too. It was hard for all of us because obviously we knew this guy, even if we didn't like him or we thought he was a douchebag, hearing that he murdered someone and also hearing that he himself died. It was a loss for us. It was a trauma. This was still somebody that we knew.
Yeah.
And then also our fucking show isn't going to air or ever see the light of day. It was devastating on so many levels. And I feel like that we didn't get to express the fact that we were upset about our show being ruined because I felt like, for me personally, I felt like that would be inappropriate to express that.
Yeah,
after
you can't talk about that shit.
2 people died, but it affected all of us though. And we all kind of just had to like stuff that down, suppress it.
Right. And that's on top of all other real life shit that we had going on our own.
Right. Exactly. So. I do remember. So when Ryan was trying to get me to take his girl horseback riding, I was in LA. I think she was still in Las Vegas, and I was telling Ryan to tell her that if she wants to come riding with me, she needs to bring special boots. She needs riding boots. Like she can't just bring regular shoes. Like as long as she brings boots, then we're good. Mm-hmm. So I ended up on a trip in the middle of the ocean, diving with sharks, and I came back. It was awesome. I came back to the United States, and there was like 5,000 missed calls and messages from Ryan, and all these text messages like, "Hey, I really want to take my." Everything was desperation with him. I really want to take my wife horseback riding. Please, can you take her riding? Can you take her riding? Can you take her riding? So I called him. I'm like, hey, sorry, I missed your 17,000 phone calls.
So you hadn't even seen like social media or anything?
No, I had no reception of any kind on this boat in the middle of the ocean for 7 days.
Okay.
I came back to like 7,000 missed calls from Ryan, like begging me to take his wife riding. Which means what I got out of that is like there's serious turmoil. I'm trying to fix it any way I can. Please take her riding, anything to fix this.
But it was so like his personality to do some shit like that. So you weren't really like, oh, it's an emergency.
Right. Everything was desperation. Like this has to happen. So I called him back and I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry. I was in the middle of the ocean. I just now got your calls. Yes, of course, you could bring your wife riding. Honestly, though, I didn't really want to do that. It was just like I already made the fucking commitment, and now because I'm like these two are such turmoil.
Yeah,
but I said sure, and then I just said just again make sure she brings her boots. So then I didn't hear back from him, and I was surprised by that because he'd called me so many freaking times and texted me so many times. So I waited a few days, and then I texted him again, and I was like, hey, just following up. Do you still want to come riding with your wife? Because if so, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
And he texted me back and he said, actually, Jasmine still hasn't gotten her boots yet. Rain check. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I later found out, not long later, but like a week or two later, I found out by the time he had sent me that text, hey, she still doesn't have her boots, rain check. He had already killed her. Ugh. And I mean, it's
sick.
It's so upsetting. So he texted me after he had already killed her. And then after that is when he went on the run. Producers were calling me going like, please don't answer press. And I was getting calls, as you said, from like People Magazine and 60 Minutes and 2020.
I had to turn everything the fuck off. Like I literally like put my phone on silent. Like couldn't even talk to my parents. Like I was so fucking bothered by that shit. It was all over CNN. Like
yeah. Yahoo News. It was everywhere. It was all over. It was his photo and her photo.
That's all you fucking saw.
Yeah,
dude.
And it was like it wasn't even a national manhunt. It was an international manhunt because he had fled to go to Canada. And I remember my phone was blowing up every fucking day of people going like, "Oh my God, can you believe this is happening?" Or have you talked to Ryan? Or have you heard from him?
Or can you talk about him?
Can you tell me where he is?
Us?
Can you tell us insight? And I'm just like, it was fucking crazy.
What did it mean to you when you found out this news about Ryan Jenkins?
It was a great relief that we weren't going to spend months and months of our life trying to find this person and bringing him to justice.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's making me. I feel emotional.
Yeah,
talking about it right now. I know Megan felt the same way when all this was going down. She was like, I disappeared from everywhere, from all my friends, like my family. She's like, she just shut down for months. And then to hear that, like, yeah, he killed her. And not only did he kill her in the most brutal fucking way. So what was the ultimate reason? Was it, he found out that she was cheating on him is the rumor that I had heard.
Yeah, he like went through her phone.
Yeah, and found text messages in there that she was either still hooking or something. So
something about her ex or some shit. And like she lied to him and she wanted to go back for some reason, and he was like against it, and then they got in this big old fight. But like even the
Ryan or the ex?
What?
You mean Ryan and Jasmine got in a big old fight? Or?
Yeah, in the hotel room where they got footage of them two going into the hotel room, and then they never got footage of her coming out.
Oh my God. Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
It's so upsetting. And I understand he's like, I fucking won this fucking money for you. I told you I'd win it. I did this whole entire show to win you this money so that we could stay together. But what's so weird about that is she was cheating on him. He was cheating on her. I mean, like, I knew, Megan told me some things that insinuating he was like still pursuing her even after he was married.
Yeah.
You're telling me that he was kind of pursuing you as well on the show. So like they were both cheating on each other from what it sounds like, from what I gather from all the things I've heard, the hearsay is that they are both doing this. But he, maybe she didn't want to stay with him, but it's like, dude, then just fucking divorce her.
But I even remember it being me and him at the very end, and the producers like could in disbelief that he was like on the phone with her still, like fighting. And producers were like, what the fuck are you doing?
Everybody was like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you with this girl that you guys are not compatible?
Right.
I mean, this is toxic, And so, but he just kept telling me, he's like, well, I just remember in the beginning, she was really sweet. And I just want to get back to that time. I'm like, she's a stranger to you. Everybody was telling him, because he made it everybody's business. He talked about her all the fucking time.
He wanted to fix her, dude.
He wanted to fix her. He wanted to save that marriage.
He wanted to have babies with her.
Yeah.
It was like fucking
I think he just wanted to have my idea of all this. It wasn't necessarily about Jasmine. It was, he had an idea in his head of what kind of life he wanted.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a reality star. He wanted to be in a power couple relationship with a hot woman that would be his arm candy. And he had it all painted out, mapped out. And because she wasn't going along with exactly his plan, he snapped.